that?
I watched it like in June.
Oh, see that? You watched it. I'm like, yeah. Gosh, that was class over. That was pretty good. Um, hey guys, can we get a couple of degrees cooler? Just chill it off. Just chill it just a bit. Okay. Doing things on purpose. What does that mean, Lisa?
It means doing things with an action behind it.
Okay, that's good. So, what's the difference, Luis, between living life with intention and living life?
People that live life are going to live it many times meaningless. Like for example, in the day class, you had explained about people when they do ads and they just say, "Oh, this is a great product," versus saying that's a great product because it came in a very cool package. It does this, it's better than this other product, and it's in this color. That's specificity versus like John.
Okay, and what would it look like, Paola, for somebody to be living with intention?
So, just like now that I sit down better, so with posture, or if you like the example that you have done, that you have used before, what do you want to eat? Like, oh, I don't know what I want to eat. So you will be specific with what you want, how you walk, how you talk to others. Like
So you have specificity in what you're doing,
yeah.
not just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is that about right?
Yeah.
What about you, Ian?
Living with intention means putting detail work. And then if you do it in life, then you're taking, for me, you're doing more importance. You're taking more care in what you're doing and making it more important to you.
Okay, care and importance. Great. Those are really great words. So, what we're going to do right now, are we getting ready? Okay, great. I got to start this thing, and we're bringing a fresh new teaching to you guys on intention. And for those of you guys that are watching outside of this immediate live taping, I'm Coach Clay Banks, and we're coming to you live from Clay Banks Studio International in Hollywood, California, claybanksstudio.com. And we are doing a specialty series on intention. Now, this will not be the intensive on intention, and you guys are going to count how many times I say intention during this teaching. The intensive on intention was shot yesterday, and it is on our socials, Facebook, our Instagram feed, our YouTube channel, Claybank Studio, Claybank Studio International, and you can find an hour intensive on intention. I taught on it also earlier today, and I'm going to bring in another aspect of it for you guys now. So, intention, and why it's important and what it's all about. If you can see the feed over here, there is a definition. This is an actual dictionary definition to intention, popping up on the screen here in just a sec, and it'll give you that kind of core key dynamic of what it really means. And if you take a look at the first few words of the definition, a mental state, it's a mental state representing a commitment to carry out an action or actions, a mental state, meaning it's not something that's just going to come to you automatically. It's something you have to develop, like when you're studying. Remember any time when you were just kind of on a spring break and then all of a sudden you had to get ready for semesters of school and now you needed to slip into a different mindset? You had to change your behavior, go into a different mindset because you needed your mind to work differently. And when you're living your life with intention, you have to do just that. You have to shift from your regular into super regular or a performance state because you're living with more purpose. You're living with specificity. Let's take a look at some of the words that are involved with what it takes for you to live in intention. And I want to just let those words sink in a little bit. So you've got focus. when you place focus on something and you are really focused on doing it, like I see women an awful lot, and some dudes do this as well. You know, they're talking to you and all of a sudden they realize that their earring thing came out or whatever, and they go, oh, and then they stop. And then while they talk to you, they're focused. They got to get that back in the hole and they got to put that thing back on. And they disconnect from the conversation until they get the earring back in. And for that, they lived with intention for that one little moment of just having to take care of a situation, right? Direction, meaning, okay, you specifically have to do this. Like if you're just driving around your community, or you have to find an address, you notice there's a difference in your energy? Why? Because you're out of a comfort zone into a specific zone of direction. When you're living with purpose, meaning you're purposefully doing something. So for example, when you see people that are just kind of walking down the street and then you look at a marching group, maybe a marching band or a color guard or the military, they walk with more intention because there's a purpose behind what they're doing. When you have a plan to do something, and what would a plan be for an actor? It'd be the script. It's like, oh, now I'm not just living life, I'm living in this world. So now if we take this into the big picture, we have the creation of all life by God. God creates the universe, the heavens, the earth, us. This is all a creation by an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing entity that we know as God. Well, when you go on a movie set, it's kind of a sub-universe, and the God character is now the writer, because the writer writes the world. So when you take a look at movies like Water World, it's a world, West World. We're being thrown into a world for the duration of that story. If it's a movie for a few hours or an extended series for many hours, you're now in that world which has been created by the writer, the God character. And then there are all the characters that are living with specificity. Now, I ride a motorcycle. And what's really fascinating for me here in Los Angeles, where I reside, second largest city in the United States, I can drive 30 miles and go through 5 different countries just on one road. You go through these different like microcosms and little Tokyo and little Korea, and then you're in Mexico, and then you're in middle class, and then you're in upper class, and then you're in super upper class, and then you're on the hills with the houses with the amazing views, all within 30 minutes. It's like there's all kind of worlds that are going on there, because that's real life. Usually, when we're dealing with a story, the writer's going to section out a part of that life and give it to us with intention. So let's take procedurals. And what is a procedural? All your regular hour dramas. What happens? There's an incident. What is the incident? There's a car crash, and then somebody comes and shoots one of the passengers, robs what's in the trunk, and takes off. Well, now we're going to do a show from the cop's perspective. Call it NYPD Blue. We're going to do a show from the detective's perspective. Call it the CSIs. We're going to do a show from the ambulance's perspective, from the fire department's perspective. Then when they bring that person into the emergency room, we're going to be in the ER and do a show on that. Then we'll go into the hospital and we'll do a show on that. Do you see what I'm saying? These are microcosms where we're now taking them out and we're focusing on them in a plan, being the script, about that particular story of that one incident that took place. It's the procedures and how we go about and we deal with the incident. Those are procedurals. They operate with intention on a specific plan. If you're going to live your average regular life and say to your friends, hey, let's go on a camping trip this weekend. You now have a direction, you have a purpose, you have a focus, you have a plan. For 2-3 days, you're going to go away and you're going to live a little bit differently until you come back. You're going to live with more intention. I believe this is one of the reasons why we have sports, activities, and hobbies, because we have an innate desire inside us to want to live with intent. But our cultures generally have dropped us down to functionality, where we don't necessarily live with intention. We function. We exist. Sometimes we're called the walking dead. We just drone around from thing to thing and go to this thing we call a job to make money to afford to live on this planet. So hopefully there's enough left over for some entertainment and some enjoyment, rinse and repeat. And there's no real intention outside of survival in that. But then now you have a hobby. Oh, I have to focus on what this is, whether the hobby is, knitting or model airplanes, whatever the hobby is. You now have a plan and a focus, and you're living with more intention. If you get into sports, you're going to live with even more intention because it involves more of us. This makes sense, nod your heads, right? Okay. Now, another word with intention, associated with intention, would be commitment. You are now committing to something. So let's say you're just kind of messing around and you're dating, and you're just dating around, and you're meeting people and dating around and going to dinner and doing stuff and dating around. But then somebody really gets your attention, and you get their attention. And it's like, oh, I'd like to see you again. Oh. Now it's not just a date. Now you're dating. And you're kind of saying, okay, well, now the weekends are ours. And now you're moving into another level of commitment. And at some point it's like, are we boyfriend and girlfriend? And then you commit to that level. Oh, are we going together? Oh, you commit to that level. Oh, right onto the big commitment of marriage, when you actually need a piece of paper to lock it in. Because it's hard to stay in commitments many times. You have to have reasons. That's why it's called a commitment. You ever notice the difference or the similarity between commitment and committed? Words are pretty close. But they lock you into something that you're now living with intent and focus. And you're living with commitment and purpose. You're committed to each other. But then, as we mentioned in the earlier class, you can tend to go back to an existence. And that's why a relationship has to be fed. You have to feed the commitment that you're in. You have to keep it fresh and live. You make a choice. We don't always live with specific choices. Very popular words, whatever, sure. Anyhow, yeah, I don't care. Whatever, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, all right, it's all right. Yeah, sure. That'll work. It's like the choices aren't being made. When you make a specific choice, hey, here's the deal. We're going to be going to Six Flags this weekend. This is how it's going to work. We're staying overnight. We got this hotel at the such and such hotel. We're doing this. We're going to do this. This is how much it's going to cost. Who's in? Great. A choice was made. Now you're living your weekend with more intent, as opposed to just another weekend of tidying around the house, washing your car, hanging out, going to the park, walking your dog, whatever you do. You see, it raises the stakes of your involvement in your life. Care is huge with this one, because care raises energy, care raises dynamic. The more you care about something, the more you're going to raise the stakes in everything that you're doing. If you don't care, you don't care. You watch the movies. They're trying to kill the hero. They can't kill the hero. The hero gets out of everything. You ever notice that? Yeah. The bullets don't hit. Nothing. The hero just escapes whenever the writer wants the hero to escape. And because the bad guys can't get the hero, the bad guys grab one of the hero's family members. And now all of a sudden, the hero's vulnerable because they're affecting the hero's care. But what about grabbing that hero and grabbing the hero's wife or husband, and the hero goes, I don't care, shoot him. Wouldn't be, what kind of story would that be, right? And it does happen, but then there's usually a twist with it, because care activates a whole nother level of our existence. We're living with more intent and with more purpose. Now, what does this have to do with performing and acting? We don't want to put a camera on you and have you just do what you normally do. There's nothing interesting about that. And you might think, well, reality TV. There is nothing real about reality television. It is another genre. It's just called reality TV. The news isn't real. Talk shows are not real. Reality TV is not real. The closest thing I have ever seen to reality television is on a monitor in a 7-Eleven, watching people walk around. A security monitor is about the only thing that's reality TV. It's not interesting. When you get in front of a camera, we don't want you to just be in a comfort zone of regular day existence and functionality. We want you functioning at a higher level, at a peak performance state. We want you in the performance zone because now watching you becomes fascinating. Because you are putting intent and purpose and focus and direction and commitment on your actions, we're going to watch you. But when you're just kind of, oh, it says to say this line and it says to go here and it says for me to do this and then to turn and to say this and do this, and you're really just up here functioning through it, you're not interesting. And that's what we're training you out of. Training you into a state of on-purpose living. Now, why don't people live on purpose? Some people do, exceptional people that just either have been trained and conditioned and live differently. People who are athletes, they're part of activities, they're involved, they don't want to just be hanging around and doing the mediocre. Generally, an athlete that's any good will be functioning with intention. A chess player will be functioning with intention. A serious hobbyist will be functioning with intention. Because when you get into intentional living, it actually activates different chemicals in our body that gives us a high. Because you're in an activated state. You're not in a lethargic state and operating in lethargy. These are the importances of you, especially actors that are taking on characters. The writer has written these characters specifically. There are breakdowns for these characters, and if you don't have them, you have to get the breakdown. Who is this person I am playing? And then when you get the plan, the map, the script, how am I going to attack this? How am I going to move from this moment to this moment and say this line, and what's happening with my body and my fluctuation with my words? Even this talk. If I just were to get up here and go, okay, guys, this is intention. And, you know, it's a good thing. It's got 2 syllables. 3, maybe. Starts with a vowel. Intention. Might want to do it. Might be good for your life. All right, everybody, let's act. Wouldn't be a very good teaching, right? No. So even right now while I'm speaking to you, I have a strong intent on getting you to understand intention so you can live your life with more intention. Live your life on purpose. Why? Because you're up here, you're in this place for 4 or 5 hours. Then you're activated up here for a percentage of those hours. But then you go into your regular life for 168 hours. And we only get 4 or 5 of those? That's like 160 plus hours are yours to do what? There are people that even activate their dream state while they're sleeping with intention. You could try this. It's a little assignment for you. Before you go to sleep tonight, get into a meditative state. And think about something specifically that you would like an answer to, that you would like a revelation on, that would you like more insight on. And put your focus on that for a period of time, 5-10 minutes. Then ask the powers that be. Ask God for insight while you sleep. You're actually going to sleep with an intention of receiving an answer. You know the expression, I need to sleep on it? Some people think nothing happens. Well, I just put my head on my pillow, I got to sleep, nothing happens. Well, that's your choice. There are people that process quite a bit in their sleep. Me personally, I actually have an incredibly active life, ridiculously busy life, but I think I actually live more in the 6 or 7 hours that I'm asleep because my dream state is so imaginative and so active. I'm on adventures and journeys and all kinds of things are going on. Because anything outside of intentional living is, to me, is I'm wasting my time on this planet functioning and not experiencing. So a big killer of all this is the word bored. Bored people are boring people because there's a lack of intention to operate in a state of creative living. There's nothing boring except a mindset. So that's why, going back to the definition here, it's a mental state. A mental state representing a commitment to carry out an action or actions. It's about you shifting. In our old studios, we used to do it in this studio, but it keeps getting worn off. There would be a line or a ledge that separated the seating area from the staging area, or in other words, the stage. And the point of a stage is it's a zone separate from another zone that gets you to think differently about what you're doing. Because if you're bringing yourself up from there to here and there's no shift taking place, you're living in the same level of intention or non-intentionality up here as you were there. There's nothing interesting about that. Remember, if you're a speaker, a performer, an actor, you're basically asking us to give you our attention, and in many cases, our money, to experience you. What are you doing for that money? What are you doing to earn that attention real estate? You've got to learn to get attention real estate. You need to live in an intentional state. And that's one of the key core powers of living intentionally. Now, I want to just go to a little assignment, and I want to give it to those that are watching. And I have a little clip I'll show you here at the end just for fun about a very intentional performance. If you can see on here, I put up an assignment. You guys had this assignment for the week, and we're going to follow it up after this teaching and take a look at what everybody's done. And for those of you that are watching now, I get a lot of comments about enjoying the assignments and putting actors to work, because anybody can do anything. But you ever heard this expression? I just needed an excuse to do it. Right? I just needed an excuse to do it. What it does is it activates an intention. You know, a lot of you watching this don't know back in the days of what was called long distance telephone calls. Okay? Okay, a few of you do. A long distance telephone call basically meant if they were in your local or area, calls were free. You just paid whatever your monthly phone bill was, which wasn't a lot of money. But if you wanted to make a call outside of your area code, you paid for that. If you wanted to speak to somebody on the other side of the country, we used to say this: okay, we can't talk much longer because I know this call is expensive. See, that doesn't exist anymore. But that's the way it used to be. And here's what's really funny. If you were traveling and you were anywhere within the state of somebody you knew, you'd say, hey, I'm in California. Let's hook up. Where are you? San Francisco. Where are you? San Diego. Cool, let's meet. That's how it used to be. Just because you were in the same state, you tried to, or, hey, Bobby, I know I haven't talked to you in years, but I'm actually in your town. It took you having to be there to call that person. Now, that kind of made a little bit of sense back then. Now, we all have phones with unlimited everything. I mean, if you got WhatsApp, you can call Mars. and it doesn't cost you anything. I mean, you get what I'm saying, right? And when you call that person, it's like it's no big deal where you are or what you're doing. It doesn't really matter because you're just kind of there. So you get in the same state with them and you go, hey, I'm in Florida. Let's visit. And it doesn't matter. You can talk to them anytime. You can talk to them there. But there is a difference in our mental state of intentionality. When you get a handle on this intention, that you're living your life on purpose and not random chance, you're never going to say things like, oh, no, dude, it doesn't matter. Just chillaxing, nothing going on, not doing anything, just here. Dude, what are you doing? I am in a little R&R on the couch, catching a little bit of my show. What's up? That's a person relaxing with intention. You see the difference? It's a state of mind. It's a way you process information, and what you do in your regular life is going to affect what you do in your professional life. And you have to be careful of the muscles you're training and the way you're training those muscles. You know, in a lot of sports, the difference between this and this is the difference between you making the majors or not making the majors. This and this, this and this, because the higher you go up in the performance chain, the more specificity there is to the most minor details. I'll show you that in just a minute. But here's your assignment. Your assignment is going to be, you're going to go into a real life situation and you're going to take on some kind of task. Anything, it doesn't matter. You could go bowling. You could walk your dog. You could go shopping. You could go out to a restaurant. It doesn't matter. Anything. Order a cup of coffee. Buy a pizza. It doesn't matter. But what you're going to do is you're going to intentionally set an in point. An in point is when you start the exercise of when you're going to live intentionally. And an out point of when you're going to end the exercise, and give yourself a time limit. So let's say you're going to go in and you're going to order a cup of coffee. Now, I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm just using it as an example. Okay, and you say this is going to start the minute I open up the door of the coffee shop. I am in my intention. And when you open up the door of that coffee shop, you are now going to be completely focused, on point, listening, aware of everything. Who you are, what the environment is, who you are in the environment. How you interact with people will be with intent, on purpose, with high levels of care. You're going to engage with people, and you're going to do things with specificity. Why? Because your brain's not going to be fluttering out in the ozone. It's going to be right here, on point. You're going to order that coffee. You're going to do whatever you got to do in the process. You're going to see things. You look at the menu a million times. Have you ever read it? Are there things in there you're going to see that you didn't even see before? Why? Because you're now activated and alive. And you're going to go through that duration. You're going to get that coffee, and you're going to leave, and the out point's going to be the minute you walk back out that door. Could have been a 10-minute exercise for you. You could do it for an hour. You could do it for a day. How long can you carry complete intent and focus and purpose on what you're doing without letting your mind wander? Then you do it again. Then you examine the results. Then you see how you did, and how is your life different when you're living with it with intent and purpose and when you're not. Okay? There's your assignment. Now, you guys did the assignment. We're going to take a look at that here in just a minute. But before we do, I want to show you a quick film clip. And this is a very, very fast clip. It happens in about 5 seconds. And the reason I'm showing it to you is because I am fanatical about brilliance with people living in the moment, sporting activities, and performances. And when a performance is just spectacular, and I'm like, wow, and it blows my mind, that's it. And there's been a few times where simple little things have blown my mind. One time was in a movie called Coriolanus, directed by Ralph Fiennes. He also stars in it. It's a Shakespearean tragedy. and he's acting against Gerard Butler. And it's the third act of the movie. And they go face to face. They're adversaries. And it's Shakespeare. And Ralph Fiennes is speaking to Gerard Butler's character. Ralph Fiennes plays Coriolanus. And he says to him, and he's in this whole rip, and he says, boy. And I was like, unbelievable. It was the greatest one-word line I had ever heard in cinema. 3 letters, 1 syllable, boy. It was brilliant, laced with so much intent and purpose and meaning and subtext. It just dripped with brilliance. I'm going to show you another one I just found. And this is Emma Thompson, and she's eating an olive. And this is a brilliant 5 seconds of eating an olive. Here we go. Oh, I got locked. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go.
Whether you have the killer instinct is the big...
Hold on. Before she eats it, I'll make her bigger. Yes. She's going to eat that olive like nobody's business.
Whether you have the killer instinct is the big question.
Oh, dang. That is brilliant. Did you guys see it? They didn't see it. Nobody saw it. They did see it? You guys did see it? I'll play it again.
Bigger here.
Whether you have the killer instinct is the big question.
By the way, we're going to show this movie next. It is one of the most intentional films I've seen in a really long time, and we're going to break it down. And there are so many moments in this, it'll probably take us 4 hours to get through the movie. It's going to be a heck of a night. I will show you intention in acting, in moments, in subtleties. I'm getting cues over here. In directing, score, camera angles, editing, it's costume design, forget about it. Absolutely mind-blowing, mind-blowing. Okay, so that's as far as we're going to go with this teaching today. If you would like more information on this teaching, you can go to Claybank Studio International, our YouTube page, our Instagram feed, our YouTube channel, and look up the teaching on intention. And there's a full hour on this where I go into way greater detail. If you're serious about making a strong impact as a person, it will help you. Let alone as a performer, it's necessary. So you can go and check that out. If any of you need any further information on the studio, you can go to claybankstudio.com. It's my brand new scratch and sniff website. When you go to this website, it's going to smell like you're walking through a candy store. There's grape and raspberry and cherry and pineapple. It's an unbelievably delicious website. Go check it out, claybankstudio.com. Brand new. You got to see it. It's amazing. Flip through the pages. You'll smell the fragrance. It's brilliant. If you want any information about what we're talking about, you can reach out to us at info@claybankstudio.com, and we will get back to you. Any questions on the show notes, or if you weren't able to screenshot any of this or rewind for some reason, we'll send you information that you might need. If you'd like to come audit a class, come check us out. We have classes throughout the week, group classes and privates. We do self-tapes, career counseling, the whole works. And you can also Zoom in from anywhere in the world in our classes at any given point in time. People are coming in from Canada and Europe, not so much Australia. That time zone's a little rough to get us. But you are welcome if you don't mind working at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's okay. We'll try to accommodate you. But seriously, come on in, check us out. We're here in just over the hill from Hollywood, where there's more parking and fresher air, Toluca Lake. And you can come here in person. We have in-person classes that have been going on very successfully all through COVID. We are a COVID-compliant studio. We have not one case or one problem this entire time, which we're very excited about in here. And of course, you can check us out via Zoom as well. We got a lot of cool things happening, so go on our website, check out our YouTube channel. We also have 1minutemonologue.com. If you're looking for 1-minute monologues, that's our site. We're loaded. We've got, I don't know, there's got to be over 1,000 monologues on there that are 1 minute in length or in that ballpark of comedy, drama, all kind of things you might want to look at and check out, and tons of resources for you. But there's nothing like getting on the horse and riding, and that's what we're about to do right here at Claybank Studios. So until we see you guys or you see us, God bless you guys and stay safe out there. All right, guys, let's do this thing. All right. Woo!